Welcome to Blind Shovel, an arts and music podcast. Today I interviewed Em Kettner, a ceramicist and fine artist who went to school with me back in the day. She's funny, talented, and smart. See for yourself.
Hello.
What's up?
Hey, Michael.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I haven't talked on the phone in like probably 3 years for any length of time. So
yeah, I'm honored.
Yeah, I made an exception to my rule of self-isolation.
Yeah, why is that? You just hate talking to people or on the phone?
I think I really like, I prefer writing. I like to remember what I've said so that I don't repeat myself. So
this is a nightmare.
Yeah, this is an absolute. Well, and then the only other experience I've had like this is someone in art school was like, they were like, wow, you have a really interesting voice. I don't think it was a compliment. And they asked if they could record me saying some lines. And then I went to see the film and my voice was like piped over this orgy scene. So it was like
wow.
it was dissonant. It wasn't, I don't think it was like she heard or maybe she like heard my voice and she's like, I need to tamp down the like eroticism.
Yeah.
I think it serves that purpose, but
your voice has changed.
Is it? Well, what do you remember it as? Is this the theme of the podcast?
You sound like a woman, more like a woman.
Yeah. I don't remember when. Maybe last time we talked, I was putting on more of an affect. I don't know.
I don't recall the last time we talked. Is it the theme? No. I think the theme is just people getting to know your work and you, if they already know the work, go deeper.
Oh boy.
You know?
Well, pressure's on.
Are you a career artist at this point? You make money?
I do make, I make some spending money. I bought a stovetop.
Wow.
So yeah, that's not meant to be a humble brag. It's just, I bought a stovetop and I think with the first money I made, I bought a novelty Mr. Peanut spoon. I think I sent you a photo of it. I'm not sure. But I don't know how to spend money.
You're represented?
I've got some people representing me, which is a thrill. I've got the team at François Ghebaly in LA and then Goldfinch in Chicago. So,
no New York yet.
Well, Ghebaly has a place in New York, so maybe I cheated my way into that scene, but no, nobody in New York. I mean, I have a show coming up there, but maybe that'll be the first and last.
Are you in the scene? Are you hanging out?
No, I'm in my house all the time. That's my scene. So
yeah, with Adam, your beautiful husband.
Yeah, my beautiful tree trunk of a man. Yeah, he's in the garage wood shop.
Yeah, how would you describe that for people who don't know? It's a great couple. It's like a cartoonish couple. He's a tree trunk.
I do feel like, I don't know, I grew up watching these movies like what were they called? Like Simon Birch and this other one that was called The Mighty, where it's like one really strong friend and then a tiny like just the tiny friend that rides around on their back. So that is kind of how that's how it feels. I do feel like I kind of like I transferred the things that my body would do to this other. It's like my external hard drive, but my external body. So
it's like Krang from
Turtles cartoon. Well, if you knew the movies I was talking about, those are basically kind of Krang adjacent characters.
But he's happy being Krang, and this is what is.
I don't know. I haven't asked him, but
you're beyond that.
Yeah.
You don't talk about being happy.
No,
it's been how long?
That's not a criteria. Since 2005. So yeah, a decade plus, almost 2 decades.
Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah, happiness is not part of the equation at this.
Oh, you're beyond that
juncture. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you still trying to be a teacher?
Not as much. I mean, I feel like. I taught for a while, or felt like a while in Chicago, and I really loved that. I thought, like, this is what I'm going to do forever. And but when I was teaching, I don't know, whatever I'm doing, I have to put like 100% of my effort into it, or I feel like I need to quit. So when I was teaching, I wasn't really making as much. I wasn't like focusing on making art as much. Because every free moment I was like putting together a PowerPoint, which sounds really sad, but I really loved it. And now I'm still working at Naiad, but I'm kind of the main thing I'm doing is working in my art
gardening?
Practice. No gardening.
At least working in your yard.
No,
that's cute.
Yeah, I need a rake.
How is Naiad? Do you want to explain that to people?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Did we start? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. This is it.
Oh, this is all right. This is good and official. Okay. Yeah, Naiad is Naiad's an art center out in Richmond, California. That's where I live now. And it's for it like provides studio space and gallery exhibition space and gallery like representation, I guess, to adults who have like developmental disabilities or any kind of disability. And I used to work in the ceramics department and the painting department and the fibers department, and I worked in the exhibition team for a while too, and then I was doing the Instagram for a while, but I haven't done that for a year. And that kind of burnt me out pretty bad because I don't really like social media that much, and it was hard to do it as like a very like structured routine thing every day, every morning at 9 a.m. So
it's I relate to not wanting to do that.
Yeah, no,
and having to
deadening. Yeah, because you're running like a whole art center now.
An empire.
Yeah, all of
it's an empire. But enough about me.
Oh, true. Yeah. I don't want to know. I want to.
So you still work at Naiad? Yeah. I've been trying to go deeper into the mysterious.
Yeah, it's working.
We haven't talked in a long time. So
I know. I'm feeling like I'm a little because I was listening to. I could listen to about 10 minutes of some of the other podcasts you've recorded. I feel like I'm piecing together some of your story.
You could listen to 10 because
I couldn't stomach any more than. Yeah. No, I think there was just something wrong with. I was playing them right off of the.
And it just stops.
Yeah.
So Naiad, that's been a long time. I'm glad that's still happening.
Yeah, it has been a long time, and a lot of it's been on Zoom now, which is really, I think, terrible for just an art studio. Like it just doesn't. I mean, we're like making it work or whatever. And I feel like now my job is mostly like being kind of like a clown. But I think that was kind of always what I brought to the table there. I'm not necessarily like a skill set, but just like keeping people, entertaining, like having a good time. Zoom is hard.
No, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
You still live in the same spot?
No, we just moved. That's why I couldn't find my headphones for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually moved. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I was going to say exactly.
Say the exact. Yes.
I was going to geolocate myself. Everyone listening, but
is this where you thought you'd be at this point in respect to your father's an artist? Everyone knows David Kettner's work.
Yeah, David Kettner. Yeah.
And I'm sure you thought you were going to be an artist when you were young, right?
I did, but I wanted to be a writer. I wrote I remember, I rewrote Little House on the Prairie or something. Like I think I was like 9 years old, and there were like 12 pages on like how to prepare head cheese from like a roasted pig, like just stuff I had like no actual access to or understanding of. And I would write these really long really, really long stories landed on like 80 pages typed on the computer. Like, or I don't think we had a computer then, but yeah, I was like super verbose, but I didn't have that much to say. But I did take a while saying it, whatever it was. So I did, yeah, I want to be a writer.
Not to be insulting, but that was like your thesis of senior year of college, and I'm glad you don't do work like that anymore.
I think that was actually one of the shorter things I wrote.
No, I don't mean what you wrote. I just mean the nature of the work was very...
Oh, yeah, it was super like esoteric, or at least my version of that, which I don't think I actually had access to. Yeah, really erudite.
And now the work is nothing. No. I mean, are you tempted to write like really long artist statements about these?
No.
Good.
No.
I would hate for you to have to. You don't need to.
Well, thank you, and I also really don't want to. So I'm glad. Writing has become more of a. I mean, I still really like writing. For like, I think of writing now as like when I'm just, because I'm not on the phone that much, but I like typing with my friends all the time, and so that's my form of writing now, just kind of like more journaling and communicating with people that live far away. But that's what I thought I would be when I was little, and then for a while I thought I would be a teacher. And all of this is like, I mean, it seems kind of, I don't know, my trajectory makes a lot of sense, I think, in hindsight, but I wasn't expecting any of it. I just kind of singularly focused on, I don't know, my dad taught at an art school, so that's always where I was going. And then afterwards, I went to more. And this is what I love doing, so I'm glad that I am doing it. But I don't know what I expected as a kid.
You said you went to more?
Yeah, I went to school in Chicago for grad school, and then I taught there.
Oh, you mean SASC? I think about more in Philadelphia.
No, I was done.
Remember we were talking about whether pretending to be a folk artist when you were actually educated was some kind of funny appropriation? Right.
I don't remember that conversation, but it sounds like something we probably...
I mean, I'm not leveling such an accusation. I just think it's kind of funny idea.
I do remember, I think, because I must have told you, like, there was a person in my cohort in Chicago who was like, we were at a bar and he was like going around the bar table, like saying what genre what kind of artist everyone was. And he came, and when he was cataloging me, he was like, you're the, like gentle folk outsider artist, which is just because, of all people, like I grew up with an art professor and I have, and I went, and it's like, but outsider as a term is not even, that's like an antiquated term anyway, but
why? It seems like a very useful term.
I guess everybody has their own definition for things. So I guess it just depends how you use it.
No, they don't.
If you mean outsider is outside of, academia, then
sure. Or the establishment. I just that's how I think about it. Darger is clearly an outsider,
Right.
I understand what you mean now, maybe, where it's like, I don't know how you could be outside of...
Yeah, I'm thinking of it more in in the present. Yeah, because it's very hard to escape. This...
the Eye of Sauron?
Yeah.
It sees all that
He's
you do.
Beckoning, yeah. He's hungry.
That's why it's fun to hide for a bit,
yeah. Well, I know, yeah. I love to be... Yeah. I do. I'm very much. I like the hermit lifestyle. I don't get lonely really.
But can we call you a hermit if you've lived with? How long have you lived with Adam? Are you just not? He's not even existing at this point.
But it's kind of I feel like it's kind of one entity, but that's maybe not fair to him. But
oh, you've subsumed him, and he doesn't.
No.
God. Okay.
No, I think it's well, I don't know. This is how I kind of think of people in general, and I don't mean it as an insult. I just think we're kind of like, when whatever circle you move in, you kind of glom onto each other and become this sort of like mini-limbed figure. That's just how I see it. So it feels still like, even if, you're right. It's very different. If I were living alone, I don't think I'd be as attracted
You'd
to
be
them.
insane.
Yeah, I'd be long gone.
Yeah.
But
are you proud of being an introvert? Self-identified.
Well, you just identified it, but
yeah.
I guess since we're talking, you're part of this many-limbed creature, so that counts as self-identifying.
No, do you identify as such?
I guess it does depend. I don't know. Those labels are kind of, yeah, I mean, I think I am one, but I also
you're just dissolving all these labels. California is rotting your That's what happens when you stay out there too long.
I can't remember what any words mean, so I'm trying to dodge having to answer the question, which is based on like a definitive.
No real conversations.
I can't.
Just
well,
everyone
like I said, I can't be on the phone. That's what I need when I'm writing to people. I have my thesaurus open so I can make sure I'm speaking clearly. But
are you sad?
No, I'm not particularly. I don't think. And I know some like truly sad people. So
they're great to know.
Yeah, I know. It really is. It really does love company. But no, I don't feel sad.
Are you the happiest you've ever been?
No.
Really? I think you might be.
Does my voice sound really? It
sounds
happy?
Radiant.
Are you super happy? We're competing now. I'm trying to compete with you.
But yeah, I mean, happy. That's a stupid word in hindsight.
All right,
but you know what I mean. Now I'm in California. I just was teleported to California. Yeah, I guess I like fulfillment is the more important thing. But yeah, I think I get happier as I get older.
Yeah.
But that, I want to not diminish how exterior events can completely turn that upside down at any moment. So
yeah,
that could just be, I just could be getting a good shriek, good run of things.
Yeah, just screaming into your pillow or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or into a well. There's a lot of good receptacles, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm thinking about like being really happy. I feel like there's like some kind of oblivion that's attached to that, and I feel like I'm like more confident, or I can feel happier maybe for longer as we're getting older. But I don't know if I'm the happiest because like now you have to carry around like all these other things you've experienced or gotten to know.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you just get heavier.
Yeah.
Are you
like that baggage?
Are you a disabled artist?
Yeah.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I know that I think that's another thing we talked about, that you're not into label. I mean, I would also just say I'm an artist, but then I'm also like super uncomfortable. I don't know. I'm still like,
I'm not into like the primary identifier being someone's identity unless it is pertinent to the work, which I guess, as I look at it, I see how it plays in, but I feel like it diminishes the person often. You know what I mean? But tell me your side of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, this is more my California, I guess. I don't like sticking to any answer that I say. Well, I was gonna say too that I'm not really super comfortable saying I'm an artist still. I feel like that's just.
What are you? Craftswoman?
I think I just like make things.
You're a creative.
I think, if you had to, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to prove it in this discussion, but I think if I had to identify words that I'd be most comfortable defining myself by, I'd be like, I think I'm like a clown. I think I'm like a jokester.
A jester.
A jester. I think
David has that quality.
Oh yeah, he's a troublemaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little.
Oh, he's like more like a Sufi mystic or something.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to spin a long yarn that makes no sense at the end, but usually includes like his favorite joke about a frog with no legs. Mm-hmm. So, I think I think that's like what's it called? Like a survival mechanism. I don't know. What are they called? Not defense mechanism. I think it's like very much a way of surviving, to like know how to spin anything into a joke. Or to find the lightness in something, or like when a situation is super tense, to just like break that tension by like tripping. So that's how I that's not necessarily a thing or like a position or a career, but that's what I think my role is, to like introduce something stupid and silly or some lightness into, situations that feel really intense.
Like, because I try to keep conversation at the suburban middle-aged person level of identification. So,
right.
To them, it's
Is this
just
your
like,
core audience?
I mean, I live in the suburbs. I deal with people of all ages, but I deal with non-art people. So you are an artist, I just try to.
All right, I'll accept the label. I mean, it's definitely, it's not like I think it's an insult or anything. It's just my feeling like I need to wiggle around it. Yeah, it sounds right.
The reason I ask is like the second thing that comes up, if I search your name is Em Kettner on sculpting disability in porcelain and silk.
Yeah,
so
obviously I didn't come up with that title.
Yeah. But obviously, yeah, do you say the word ableist a lot?
No.
Do you like that word?
I mean, I get why people use it. I think it's like, do I like the word? I mean, I think it's an important concept to understand. That, like, spaces.
Trying to see how California you got, Well,
you know
what I'm saying?
Well, I think another thing, I mean, it's not only where I live, I think it's also just like, the disability that I do have is progressive. So, like we met when it wasn't really as much a feature of my day to day necessarily.
So it is more so now?
Yeah. I can't like, things are like harder to do physically, and it's hard to like ignore it. And so I think instead of, completely ignoring it or bemoaning it or like becoming completely like bogged down by it, my kind of approach has been like, how can I work this into my life and into my work in a sort of like joyful, funny way to sort of like teach myself, how to find joy in it? Because I think, you brought up the word ableist. I think, like a lot of the ways that we're all taught, me included, to like think about people that are disabled is like in a sort of it's pitiful, or we should pity, or like, or if I myself become disabled in a certain way, I should seek out a doctor to fix it, or I should seek out my religion to, let me pray this away. It's like something we don't want, collectively. It's been painted as a sort of like, I say like lesser quality of life. And I feel like I don't have a choice to, so I have, I feel like I have to find a way to not agree with that, to find some other way of embodying it. And my way is like through joy and humor and making characters or sculptures that, are kind of funny or mischievous or salacious, erotic, but that all, have bodies that are in some way broken or combined, hybrid, or that are tripping over something or bogged down by something. But the overall picture they're painting is one of like, fun and mischief and sexuality and all these other parts of life that are not, I don't think they lose any color just because you have a disability or, I think that's just, a way that I'm trying to teach myself to think about it in real time, and it's working. So, that's why I don't really see it as like I think, I don't mind speaking to it. I don't mind like, if that's the way, like that article you brought up sort of centered around that theme that's available in the work. I don't think that's super obvious when you look at the sculptures. I think it's just like another sort of theme that they cross into. And because I can speak about it, I will if I'm asked. But I think that, they're about other things too. And I think that it's a sort of like accessible feeling to people who like might not be disabled. I think we all like.
Well, that's why it's good.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, I think.
I mean, it's also it's like the third or fourth thing that's going to hit you, at least from my perspective. But, the color and the form is certainly the first thing. And
I thought you meant that's why being disabled is good. I didn't mean to.
No.
Yeah. Oh no.
I mean, look,
no.
It sounds horrible, but I guess like I understand what you're saying, that there's a perspective you can take on something and you can shift it. But then there's like this awful truth aspect where if you could choose to be disabled or not, I'm pretty sure most people would choose to not be. Am I wrong? Go ahead.
I don't know. I can't even, but here's the interesting, part of what kind of let me feel like I could give myself permission to sort of explore it a little more directly with the work I was making is that I am kind of in that position. I had this like recent, like sort of medical exploration that was not really initiated by me, but where they were like trying to identify exactly what I have, and what they found out is that they actually know less than they thought. I have something that has never been identified in like the medical world, and so they wanted me to do all these like trials and tests, and I that would like potentially lead to treatment or and I'm that actually, so that's I was kind of faced with that decision that you just brought up, and
right.
It was actually much it was much harder than I thought I would because I kind of imagined that I would this sort of take this more like what's called like a more theoretical approach to it, like, if I go, then I'm kind of like admitting that I want a different life. And then if I do that, what does that say to someone else who, I just like was making up these other people, right? Who could be affected by my decision when really it's like, I shouldn't make that decision for anyone else. That's not me. But,
well, no, we can just talk about your decision. That's interesting enough.
Yeah. But I think as a way of kind of protecting myself from having to make that, I was trying to like pull other people into it just in my mind. Like, how would this look like the whole community? But
first of all right, that's complicated, but we often draw these lines around communities that perhaps exist, perhaps don't exist. But do you feel that you're part of that community? Is that like your primary community when you think of yourself?
And I didn't grow up really. My dad was the only person I knew growing up that also had a disability, at least that I can remember. And I think I really appreciated, like, he's from a totally different generation, and like doctors were really using him as like a guinea pig. Like they hadn't even mapped muscular dystrophy yet. They didn't even have that on the books, And so they were doing a lot of like experimental surgeries. And so he has this kind of different relationship to that world that I think is like passed down a little bit to me. But I really appreciate that, that wasn't kind of ever what he led with. It was a different kind of, we talk about like pride movements or whatever, like that to me is a different kind of pride of just being like, I'm not defined by any one part of me or whatever. Like, and yeah, we talked earlier that, about like being a jokester, being like your main personality trait or what guides you through life. So I still think like that's my community, just like anybody.
Right.
Funny. But yeah, to be more literal, like I didn't know many people who were disabled growing up. And so I don't think that's my main community. I'm like meeting some more people now, but it's also such like a diverse, like,
exactly.
It's super varied. It's not like even, and it's funny because anyone can become disabled. Like it's potentially the largest community on the planet, but it also means that it's super like, it's not, it's not a monolith. Like we don't all come from one place or something. We can't like call a specific place home. We all have like different needs and requirements. And
not to get all like vague with it, but I'm not sure if any of these monoliths are monoliths that people, purport.
Yeah, no, I think
I don't even. It's very difficult to identify a true monolith that actually works and speaks to the benefit of the entire supposed community.
I think it's impossible. I think the only quote I've actually heard that uses the word monolith is that it's people saying like we're not a monolith. So yeah, I think you're right. Like there are no monoliths.
I got to talk to David for sure. First of all, I haven't talked to him in a while, but
yeah, you got to call David. You should do it in person because he's not going to be able to hear you over the phone. But
why, is hearing a shot?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, not all the way. I shouldn't be ratting on.
You know what? I should. Yeah, don't rag on him.
I'm speaking false.
I should just visit him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Go over with your podcast equipment. He'll get a kick out of it.
There is no equipment.
You got to get some. You got to get cardboard.
Yeah, like an excessive
just
rig
a truckload. Yeah, he'd love that.
Yeah, I miss him.
Yeah, me too, man.
How often do you see him?
I mean, I haven't been home. Well, actually, I think I went home last year for a few days, but I used to go home a lot more often. And then, yeah, since I moved to California, it's been like once a year, if that. And in the pandemic, I didn't go home.
Yeah. You know what? As you were saying that, what's even stranger about disabilities, in your instance, it's, if I recall correctly, it's progressive, like you said. So at least when I knew you, I don't know how much it's progressed, but an ordinary person wouldn't identify you as such. Obviously, David's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, oh, it's a disabled dude. But
he's got the sticker and everything.
Yeah. So that adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
For me, I hadn't known any really disabled people until that year, senior year of college, in which Chloe, David, and if we're counting you, and that changed my way of seeing a lot of things architecturally speaking.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you know, I'm going to be frank, I still struggle with like when we're working on buildings, like ADA stuff, because there's this weird thing of like utilizing space optimally, or even you could argue environmentally, and then having to create things that work within an ADA, code.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I mean, I feel
really
like there's a lot of creative solutions possible.
There must be.
Yeah. That's kind of what I like about, like when I was doing the Instagram for Naiad Art Center, and like, it was really, I really enjoyed like, providing different accessibility, like writing the alt text. Like that's just that can be a creative practice too. Like I don't think a lot of these things that make places are more accessible are I think they just like I don't know, like expand and widen what's possible. I think it's like a fun creative exercise to think about how you can sort of like tune a place toward people who wouldn't have been able to get into it before. And so I don't think it's like, I think it's cool to be able to have a platform to kind of, speak to some of that experience in a way that doesn't feel like it's like pushing anyone away or like or punishing people for not knowing, or like being angry at people who didn't consider it before. I think it's just like, fun to invite more people into the fold. And because especially when it is something like a new disability, like if someone becomes disabled or if you have something progressive, like, you're learning at the same time. And I don't know, I think it's better to do it with other people.
Certainly is. Always is.
Yeah.
I had a question. You know what? We once talked about pity. You enjoyed pity in the past.
I don't remember.
You still? I remember like very specific conversations. It's not your fault if you don't remember, but it was an interesting conversation about being pitied and whether or not it should be. Some people don't like being pitied. You in the conversation were like, I don't mind it. Is there something wrong with being pitied? Mind.
I think any of these emotions can be generative. Like if you're, it's certainly not how I want people to end end that relationship, you know, feeling pity. But like, if that's your gateway into knowing someone,
we can start it strong.
Yeah, we can start anywhere, I think. Yeah, we can start super strong there.
Looks like you've been drawing more on the ceramic tiles.
Yeah, I got kind of like, I stopped drawing for a long time because I feel like drawing for me, it was like, oh, this is something like that I quote unquote can do. I had like a faculty for drawing. Is that was a facility for drawing? I don't know. Like I had a style of drawing that I thought like I could do really well, but then I could never come up with an idea of what to draw. And I feel like also just going to art school, like as an undergrad, you were always asked like, why does it have to be drawn this way? Or why did you draw this? And I just like couldn't answer any of those questions. So I just had to get away from that part of my...
What a stupid question.
I know it. I've never, when I've been teaching in Chicago, I never asked that. I don't think I ever like tried to go down that road with students because it really kills like some of the love you have for...
Well, it's just like erasing your soul from the work in a literal way. It's like, well, I draw this way because it's how I draw. And I know that's like, that can be a bad answer as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's simplified on both ends, but...
Yeah, because then you just draw like shit and you go, well, that's...
yeah.
Well, the drawings are much less overwrought than they were back in the day, in which you would get deep. You get deep in there, almost like you were sewing, stitching.
Yeah, that's what I feel like is kind of like the sculptures now, which are, you know, they're miniature and they're porcelain, but then they're covered in these like hand sewn textiles. And so that kind of that checks all the boxes that I was getting from drawing before. That kind of like really meticulous, like tedious work. Yeah, they do all that. So then now the drawings can be like a lot looser, and they can also, because I'm drawing them on tiles, on porcelain, and then glazing them and firing them. And so there's some like surprise that happens too, where I feel like the way that I drew, I kind of could picture what would happen and then I could make that happen. But there wasn't a lot of surprise along the way. It's not like I was left with any questions afterwards, and that became pretty boring. And, you know, I think now it's like if I can say this with any kind of authority, but I feel like a good work, if I'm making something, I feel like that's good at the end. It's like, it's because I started with a question and then by the time I finished it, I had a different question, you know, like it kind of leaves me wanting something else, and kind of like carries you forward. So I feel like, yeah, the material does that now. Cause I never quite know. I'm like self-taught in ceramics. So I never quite know what's going to happen when it comes out of the kiln. And that's a little more exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is that idea of a question generating a question I relate to quite a bit. Sometimes it feels weirdly selfish because people demand answers from you. What does this mean? What does this comic book mean? You know, why did you do, especially again, if I'm in the suburbs, you know, and I don't want to have I take their word seriously. You know, I don't want to be in that position of they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know anything about art.
No, I mean, if they're coming to it like with that question, like that's great. Yeah, I mean, I don't think like ultimately, yeah, I think it's more satisfying to maybe, not more sad, like you don't maybe need an answer to that question. But if you come to a work wanting to know more about it, and if you're comfortable being a little mystified,
yeah, they're not.
Well,
whoever they are, they're not.
Yeah, I'm a fan of them, of whoever they are.
Yeah, me too.
I'll try,
but they're not.
I don't know. I feel like stupid answers are okay too. Like, I don't know.
Well, you're a jester naturally,
right?
You know?
Yeah, you need a little absurdity, a little like. I mean, my favorite. Yeah, my favorite like characters from fiction are still the same as when we first met. I mean, I really like. I don't know if this is even related now, but like I really like Cyrano, who's, you know, he's usually on such a different level than the people that he's like sparring with or like trading insults with, that he ends up giving himself the worst insult because he just like wants the conversation to be at, you know, even more intense than whoever he's fighting with can provide. So I like that guy. It's like people are laughing with him, but he's also kind of aware of another joke that they'll access maybe later on. So I don't know. I think like the tile drawings are a little bit easier to access too, because they're more like, what's the word, like illustrative, like
they're rather illustrative. Like they're borderline. You could imagine a New York Times, single panel comic, and then like some shit written under these.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I'd like
that'd be fun.
My dad is always submitting to those caption contests, so I should just let him title these. But yeah, they're much more legible, like readable in a way. It's like you see a person in a riding a pig, like that's a person riding a pig. I mean, it's also like a reference to like this Greek mythology, but that doesn't really, I mean, the main takeaway is the absurdity of that scene, and that's fine if that's all you take away. And like, you don't have to go to this ancient Greek story to get necessarily more out of it. It's just also there for you.
That's
if you
why
want to dig in.
The work gets stronger over time because you bury the necessity.
You gotta bury the lead.
Yeah, you bear the necessity of understanding or having had to read that or this to connect. Right.
I think it's like feeling like less like you have to prove that you've read something or that you've researched something. Like
that's very high school. Like I'm smart.
Yeah.
I've read this.
Yeah, and I was stuck in that I'm not proud of it, but I was definitely like, stuck in that mode for a while.
Oh, so was I.
Yeah, well, that's why we're both writing fellows.
Oh,
that's where we first met. Yeah, I remember that's the first time I met you, and you said you were transferring to painting, and you were really going to show those professors a thing or two or something. And I was like, kind of just chucking because I was like, my dad's it's like I was like, I know what you're in for.
I'm not sure what I showed them in the end or who I was showing, but I don't regret the decision.
You were shown. And you showed.
I was shown to many. And no, it was very beneficial to not draw for a year. I came out flying out of that canon, right.
You got to leave it and then go crawling back with
100%.
Full of shame. Yeah.
I forgot we were writing fellows. I forgot we wrote.
See, we remember very different. Yeah.
A proposed valedictorian.
Oh my God! Yes, right? That was such a wasted. No.
Oh, so you didn't agree with Stuart here?
No,
Stuart Elster.
I do agree with. I think what he was saying is that we should have submitted like the standard. I see my friends in the audience, so proud of it. Like what everybody writes. But then once we get up there, we should have done our 2-person play.
That's not what I remember.
Full punt. That's
what I remember. To be fair, he's probably correct. That we should have been mature, recognize the context and the opportunity, and we should have. No, he didn't like what we wrote at all.
I don't think he liked what we wrote. I really remember this differently. I remember him being on our team about. Well, now I don't know who's right because I have just I have very selective hearing and memory.
Good
but
trait.
No, I think so. It's protected me well. But if he said what I said, then I agree with him. But I feel like there's some nebulous Stuart that's our like remembered Stuart that's some combination of both of our impressions of him that maybe he never even talked to us about it. Like I don't know what's real anymore, but I do feel bad that we couldn't perform that. I remember being so upset it doesn't matter at all, but I am still
if you read it, it's obnoxious.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
It's really but it kind of distills that college
no, it was good.
Like asshole
douchery.
Douchery, yeah. Prime douchery.
It was real. It was authentic.
You did most of it, I think, because I've never been. No, I'm not trying to like.
Good deflection.
But I've never been able to pun, and I've kind of pride myself on that. I think puns are bad mostly because I can't do them. But I think that was just chock full of tree puns.
There's a lot of tree. Well, it was a whole metaphor, an extended metaphor, actually.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give you the credit for a lot of that, but I do think I could have brought a good stage voice to it. That
Clearly, you're showing it here.
yeah. I rehearsed this.
You got to get this website updated. Where's 21, 22?
Oh yeah. Well, they're on the gallery sent me a bunch of photos, and then they're up on that website. And I don't know. I've got some more shows coming up that I'll try and find time to sit down at the computer, but I'm still a super Luddite, so I'll try and update it. But yeah, that's kind of 2.5 years behind.
What's 2.5 years in the future?
Oh, I don't know. You're a planner. That's something I got from the first 10 minutes of every other episode.
That's the whole show. Is just me talking about planning.
Yeah. It's you trying out your
I'm working up to be a life coach. Life coach for artists.
I've never been to one, but a lot of my coworkers attend. I think it's life coaching sessions. So.
Really?
Yeah, there's a market for you out here in California where you must be.
Right.
But
you have look, you got to have a project that's long term, no? These things take a while.
Yeah, each sculpture takes a long time. I mean, I spent about maybe a month tops.
You working on one thing at a time?
I have a bunch, so I make like a bunch of ceramic figures that kind of play off of each other in the clay phase, and then I separate them when they come out of the kiln. And sometimes they're broken, and I have to sew them back together. And then I usually sew on one at a time.
So you accept them as they are.
That's right.
Do you discard any of them?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought we were going.
No, they're not. They don't all make the cut.
Full acceptance.
No, but it's like it's on me when they don't make the cut. It's like
right. That's not their fault.
Right. Well, they do have some kind of animus to me. I mean, I don't want to sound. My favorite things are like the uncanny valley. Like I love like dolls and puppets and I don't know, like bog mummies that don't really fit, but they're kind of like humans where their skin's all like melted to a certain extent or like pickled and they looked, I like forensic reconstructions, all that stuff. So there's something like, I do feel like when I'm working on them that it's not a literal conversation, but they usually have a different personality to me. And sometimes, they come out of the kiln, they seem like really evil or something. I just like I can't dress them up, I can't get to know them better. It freaks me out. So I do have a box of like discarded. I don't throw them out. They're just in the back of my closet, and maybe I'll. It's the creepiest. Yeah.
You'd be a horrible mother.
I do. Yeah, I don't know that I have a maternal. I think I have a very good like. I love hanging out with kids, but
really?
I think I'm more like a aunt uncle type of vibe. I don't know. I can't speak to it. I don't have this experience, but the only thing I have to compare it to is my relationship with like my work or my pet. And I'm just like very helicopter, like I have to be all in. So I feel like, I don't know what that would be like.
You have a dog, right? So
I do have a dog. Yeah.
What's their name?
That's Irma. Yeah, she came with that name, and we got her right before like Hurricane Irma, so people were like pretty, like, or right after. I mean, and so people were kind of like, that was most of the picture they were conjuring, not necessarily like Irma Thomas or something, who I think she's named for, but I don't know. I had a whole Excel spreadsheet of possible names, and none of them were as good as the one that this random guy gave her. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the story of her name. I didn't know if you wanted the long version or not.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, we got to fill this.
So you're out, we got to quote it. So you're out here giving lectures, huh?
Where?
You're giving critiques, presentations.
Oh, are you looking at my CV? Yeah, I'm just on the lecture circuit.
Wow.
No.
Do you like giving critiques? I mean, you don't like talking on the phone. I don't recall if you like giving crits. I feel like you do.
Yeah, I can get into that. Like I keep going back to when I was teaching in Chicago, but I mean, I just loved that. I mean, it was like, it didn't feel like teacher or student. It just felt like an excuse to like hang out with a bunch of art. I mean, I wasn't doing nothing, you know. I feel like, yeah, teaching is just you're exchanging knowledge with people that are come from different places, or maybe they're younger, maybe they're not. And I don't know, it's just so much fun. And I feel like, I like critiques. I like just getting people to a place where they feel like they can, I don't know what I'm saying. I should take it. I should have anticipated this question and took notes on it or something.
You like teaching.
I do like teaching.
You like that environment.
I feel very shy about saying that. I think that's why I keep waffling around it. But
why?
I do like it. I think
it's not lame.
No, I don't know. I'm just shy about everything. I'm super shy. Shy about the things that I like.
I mean, I assume growing up with David just, made you ready for that environment. Your mother's a librarian, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that must feel like home. Yeah,
I do. I think he was a really good teacher too. And so that was, kind of motivating to go into the same, or to be excited about, doing that line of work for a little while. And it's just super fun.
You should have a show with him one day.
I know, I'd like that.
Look at him. He's
into it.
He's maintaining his website diligently.
Yeah,
unlike you.
He's keeping up better with this stuff. I know. I think if we pitched that to him, he'd say he'd rather have a solo show. But we'll see. We'll see if I can weasel my way in. I respect him. I respect my dad. Okay.
You've never made a comic book, right? It seems like it's gonna happen. This looks like it's gonna happen.
Well, I feel like like you said, they definitely are. I mean, they're all on square tiles. I'm just doing that because I got a box of donated. Yeah, so that's how the tiles came. But then they do. Yeah, they absolutely lend themselves this sort of like serial view. And the next couple like sculptures or objects I want to make with them are, there's going to be many in a row. So they're going to be like these kind of railings, but that you read as you go up the stairs or whatever. They'll have the story played out on them. So, they're definitely tending more toward storytelling, but I've never made it. Yeah, I've never made a comic book, I don't think.
No. I know the sequential nature of exhibiting is comic-like, but I was just curious. I remember you sent me a website or a project where people were adding pages.
Oh yeah, my friend was running that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did contribute to that, but
it's also
3 squares.
The inclination I also had of either I was going to be a writer or a visual artist. That just was the synthesis that made sense for me.
Yeah.
And
you did it. I mean, you're doing it, or you did it.
Good question. I'm doing it in secret, but I did it as well.
You did do, and you have done, and will do.
No, I'm in this phase of. I'll send it to you behind their backs, but
yeah, good.
Yeah, I enjoy not getting any like eyes on the work right now, and in terms of the public, and especially because comics require such. They just take a really long time to make, so I don't want to feel like that. Yeah, I don't want to feel like I've accomplished something already. You know?
Well, I think I have all the fruit of your previous labors.
We'll see how you feel about. I mean, I'm skewing more and more towards. I'd love to make kids' books soon.
Yeah,
I just find that interesting.
I think that's a noble pursuit. I don't know, like that was one of my early dreams as well, that I think I just didn't come back to. But yeah, like growing up in a library, basically, I love the children's book section.
I think like perverse or vulgar adults making kids' book is usually the best. Not showing it, but making it. This is like, or grumpy. You know, there's like those couples, like, you know how somehow there's like couples who make kids' books or something and they love each other and they're very. You know what I'm talking about.
I know.
That doesn't make a good kids' book, you know?
No, well, it reminds me of, like older animated movies or shorts where it's just like the content is super adult and intense and sad.
Oh, that's great.
And it's like kids can handle that. I don't know.
They're attracted to it.
Yeah, and
because
I guess I'm glad
they know it's real.
Yeah, it's better to have some, like, to encounter some of those topics in that way is good, I think.
As opposed to in real life first?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
the flatness helps.
I think just also being able to, you're not in it, like you're watching it unfold and you can kind of process it.
Yeah, and if it's animated,
watching it again.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, the stakes are different.
It's not mimicking photorealism or real life, so it's like, that's obviously something I'm watching.
Valley again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, watch the dolls like fall into the fire or something. I don't know. I'm not thinking of a specific one now, but
are you still inspired by other work, or is your stomach full and round and tight?
Yeah, it's really bloated. Yeah, I mean, I look at work all the time, I think. Well, now you're going to ask what, and I'm not going to.
No, I'm curious because I feel like I ingested too much in my 20s and I'm riding off that still, like I still see new work and I'm just shocked at how bountiful modernity is in terms of what's recorded and how I can like keep going and finding new things. But I need it less and less in a weird way.
Bottomless bag. I don't know. I feel like I engage with it in a different way. Like it's less academic. It's less like I have to write an essay. So let me find works that make sense in this way together. And how can I, compare and contrast or whatever. But no, always in passing, just trying to keep absorbing like a little natural sponge.
I think in some ways it's also you somewhat beyond the imitation phase, and you've started to solidify your own style and identity. And I don't think that has to be a bad thing, but I also believe that hunger for, who's inspiring me, who to look towards reduces.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not like, I guess I agree with that.
You're contributing solid things now. It's not, how in your 20s, it's very clear who people are looking at.
Yes. Yeah. And I could also, and I think, I could name them in my 20s too. And it would be obvious that that's who I'm looking at. And just, I don't know, like you said, the more you have in your mind a kind of reference, the like less obvious it is where these points are that come out of your hands.
These pointy hands.
Yeah, these just like filed fingernails into points. But I think though, because I'm, like trying to teach myself, like ceramics and working on my loom, like I do look at kind of more like, I look at a lot of weavings that maybe I wasn't as interested in before, like a lot of quilts and textiles and I look to those to just figure out like what's possible, because I think you can get to a certain place just sort of tinkering around on a loom, but then to even know what questions to ask, I have to like see what's out there, what people have made on this thing. So, I think I look at a lot. Maybe that's how I'm just looking at different art now. I think in college I was looking at a lot of painting and drawing, and now it's more objects. So
in college, you look at art that you think is art, and then you get out of it and you realize again the more interesting thing is just creating something, and then you recognize that there's that generative force in a lot of different things that you could be inspired by. And it gets much more interesting when you're not inspired by, I feel, people in your field or even people you would consider fine artists.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my experience. Just
same
with my personal, I think when you get out of the people that kind of made it into the history books or something, to see how much wider everything is and how much more activity was going on contemporaneously.
I always have a funny feeling when I find someone who's just astounding and basically irrelevant from 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know if it's my goal, but I'm pretty sure it's where I'm gonna. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be astounding, but I feel
right,
like,
yeah. I forgot there was a compliment buried in there too. I'm more talking about the obscurity and then the discovery.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I love thinking about some cyborg, you know,
right. Trying to make sense of it with their
finding
robot eye. Yeah, it's humbling too, you know. Like,
oh my god!
Because like you said, like I feel the same. A lot of the art I find that I'm like, damn, this is blowing my mind. Is like, you know, name I've never heard, a person who maybe didn't consider themselves an artist.
Right.
I love like a lot of those like almost like roadside, adjacent to like roadside attractions, like the people who kind of like make their whole world on their property or something. Like what's that place that's like the like concrete like Garden of Eden or something, or people that like an entire wall of their house is like glass bottles. I don't know, just like the art doesn't end, and it's kind of, you know, it's for them, and if you find it, it's for you too, but the audience isn't really
that's the
necessary part. Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
I don't know what that genre is called, but I understand why you think it's fantastic, because I agree.
Yeah.
Where it's just one person working on a property for 70 years.
Yeah, like carving an entire basement with a spoon. I think it's because something so, or at least I romanticize. I don't know, maybe it's not romantic, but my favorite like feeling is to feel like you're like outside of time. You don't have any deadlines. You don't have anywhere you need to be. You don't have anything you have to necessarily get done. Like time kind of stops existing, so you can carve a basement with a spoon, you know,
right,
if you want to. I did meet someone actually who did that. That's why I keep returning to that motif. But I don't know, I'm very much chasing that, and
it's uncalculated in some sense. I'm moving in a different direction of extreme calculation.
You want to have deadlines and your schedule filled up. Boy.
I mean, I don't want to. I do. And I'm interested in what that manifests, because there's this propensity and romanticism of the kind of, I don't know, the not lazy artist, but the lackadaisical artist being visited by the muse 10 minutes out of every 8 hours, you know? And for me, I get that, because I've had that feeling, but I'm also curious in like working the other 7 hours and 50 minutes in some capacity, you know?
Yeah.
And
why did the muse, I mean, you don't have to be just like lying there looking at the ceiling waiting for the muse. I think it's still true that it probably only comes a couple minutes a day, but more reliably if you're working.
True. And
I don't know.
Yeah. And let's be real, especially with this kind of work.
Let's get real.
98% of it is just labor.
Yeah.
It's not just having fun ideas.
No, but I don't know, it's good labor. I mean, I'm not trying to sell myself on it, but I mean...
Yeah, I'm not using the word labor as a bad thing. I know it.
I know, that was my interpretation, which says more about me, I think. But yeah, it's super generative, that kind of work, I think.
Do you have too many ideas or too little?
Well, it's good. I think actually right now I've got a good amount, and I've got like I have a lot of excitement. I don't know if that's the same. Like I really want to get through this sort of series I'm working on, because next I want to try to do something that's mostly like tapestry based, like on the loom. I want to make like kind of figurative loom things. And then after that, I want to try something that's maybe wearable. And then I want to get into more furniture sort of thing. So
you hit me up. You call me up on the furniture.
I know, I call you. Yeah. I'll come visit.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd really, because I know you got that CNC. So
yeah, right now we're casting cement. Could be an interesting
cement. Oh, all right.
No, we don't cast cement.
No rolls open for men. Yeah, cool. That sounds rad. For like something underwater, or
no.
Okay,
We can do that.
No further questions. No, I don't like swimming, but
you don't like water.
Yeah, I don't like water really in general. I feel like the ocean's just trying to tell you to get away. It's just pushing you back at every step you take. So, but
are you still using that small kiln, or you've gone?
No, I leveled up. Yeah,
nice.
I was able to get an automated one. I mean, I think since you lived out here and we're kind of cramming stuff into that little kiln. I had a big one that was donated to Naya that they didn't want because it was really old and manual. And I was using that for a while, but it was kind of like, it was pretty unreliable. Like things would melt a lot, but I liked that for a little bit. I liked because I wasn't like, I don't know. At every step of the way, I wasn't like, oh, this is exactly what I meant to make, when I'm working with clay. So if it kind of changed shape in the kiln, I was like, all right, this will work, I guess. So, but now I have a nicer one that sticks to what I've put in it, and it comes out looking like that still. So
nice.
I've been pretty. I don't know if you wanted me to be more visual in the language I was using, but
no.
Okay, cool. Vague is where it's at.
Yeah. How about this Nick Norman fella, huh?
Oh my gosh. Is he going to listen? Hi, Nick. Big fan. Long time listener. Yeah, I just met Nick. I was driving through Portland, and I got to see his little studio, his basement. He offered me some water.
Wow.
It was thrilling. And no, he's super cool. I mean, he's one of the artists that I feel like I'm actually like trying to collect. Whatever that means. But I know we were like, I beat you to that worm plate. That's what I remember.
Oh, you did.
I remember times when I think that my memory is times we've competed and I've won, and then your memory is
like that time
misspoke. No, you
remember that time that I bet you that Dustin Hoffman's
yes
was Justin.
No, you called
what
it
did
Justin.
I
You said his name was.
And I knew I was wrong, and I
but $5. You didn't know well enough to think that I was right, which I love. Just getting underestimated, and I'm coming out with that $5 bill, that shiny $5 bill.
I don't even. I think you just bet me that it wasn't Justin Hoffman.
Yeah, but I was playing that's a smart bet.
Because you knew it was Dustin Hoffman.
Well, I don't think I remembered it was Dustin at the time, but I just knew I knew in my bones you were wrong, and you didn't make me say who it was. I just was betting that you were wrong. So I don't know. I think I played it well. I think
all right.
I think history will agree.
All right.
But Dustin Hoffman, Nick Norman, a couple of stand-up guys. Just a couple of guys. No, I really love his work. I think that's a contemporary artist that I think I look at and feel like
I see a connection.
Yeah, like I think when you were like showing his work and Harpy around the same time that I was first doing some of the ceramic stuff, and I think just seeing his work, I was like, wow, that that's possible. Like the same with just figuring out what's possible on the loom. It's like seeing another ceramic artist that I really like what they're making and knowing like, okay, this is it's a good path. I don't know. I like his work a lot. I think he
comes to mind because he's also funny and inspired by folk art.
Yeah.
But unlike you, he's not highly educated, and I don't mean that as he's not intelligent, but he didn't go to you've gone through it. You were like a highly educated autodidact. Well,
now I'm gonna put a hole in your theory because I forget what autodidact. What does that mean?
Self-taught.
Right. Okay.
Because it sounds like you self-taught yourself ceramics and.
Yeah, I had a lot of tools in my belt for. I think just. I think how do I say? Yeah.
I was going to say the loom as well.
Yeah. Well, the loom. I took one class to kind of what you learn in that class is like how to set it up in general. I mean, it's kind of like it's a pretty opaque. Well, for me, who doesn't. I guess it's a series of simple machines, but looking at it, I wouldn't have known what the hell to do. And so it's a kind of an opaque object. So I did take one class that just said like, okay, here's how you put the thread onto the thing. But then beyond that, it's been a lot of just research and slowly figuring out what things are called so I can ask, can I move this and will it still stay together and stuff like that. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I spent my whole, like school career in painting, which is not something I think I even ever did when I was in school. And so I think my main takeaway from school is actually something that a lot of artists who maybe didn't go that route, like, know anyway, is just like, I guess, what is it? Like, just how to keep going and how to keep yourself curious and like how to trust that what you're making at some point will start to make sense to you. I think that's something that I ended up getting from school, but that's accessible through so many other routes.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's the most valuable thing.
So many people who went to school with us and didn't learn that, you know.
Yeah, or something. I mean, I think the rate of, I think that's pretty low just for art undergrad in general, would be my assumption, that it's like not too many people stick with it, or they realize like it wasn't something they love. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with going to art school and then being like, nah, this is not for me, you know? So, I don't know. That's what I think is different between, I feel like I'm screaming into, I've never used this headphone set before. It's going to be super loud, but,
it's too late for that observation.
You're going to have to delete this whole thing. You just check the levels. But yeah, that's what I mean, you asked when we started, like if we're happier now or something. And I think that's something that I feel very glad to have, I think, learned since being in, you know, our young 20s, is just feeling more of a sense of trust in your own ability to make things and figure out what's going on.
I think it's funny when you don't trust it, and sometimes I'll make a drawing in 5 minutes that's very good, and I won't believe in it. I'll say, I need to work more. I need to do
that's
more.
An old ghost coming up out of the swamp, trying to knock you down. No, it's like, that was for so much of, like what I started realizing is like, you know, just the sketches I would make for the drawing or for the sculpture, like, to me, like, had so much more character than the actual drawing I'd end up making. And it's like, that's why I started working with these like tiny tiles, because there isn't room to like get more intense about it. Like, it has to be that quick, almost like a written note, because there's no space to kind of like go overboard. And
true, and the glaze is just not going to allow for
the glaze, like half the time it wipes it out. So I'm still figuring that out. But
do you have a thorough sketch process for arriving at the work, or is it more intuitive?
No. Yeah, it's just
the process.
That's what I mean about that's what I mean about trust. It's just like, I don't know that this will work forever, and I don't even know if it's working right now. But in my mind, it's working to just be like you said, stuff in your mind or stomach with art references. Like, I feel kind of like I'm just trusting that it's in my muscles to know when to stop or what to do, and kind of work. I think my dad talks about this too, just like kind of working in this different mindset that isn't, you're not asking those questions while you're making it. You're not saying, what am I doing? What is this? You make it, and then you kind of, maybe you think about it when you're taking a break, or you think about it later in the process. Or me, that's what I do. Not necessarily you. I keep saying you, but
I think that makes sense for anything. You get too caught up in thinking about something while you're doing it, it's probably not going to.
Well, maybe not in the like medical world, but in our world, I think True. It's better. It works fine. I don't know what those doctors are doing. Maybe that's how they work too, but I hope not.
Don't know. I don't know many.
I don't know. I did have I don't know. It's like that old joke about orthodontists, and then they're always like dropping stuff. But I got my wisdom teeth out a while ago, and I had to be awake for it because I'm allergic to anesthetic, I guess. And then they just they explode your teeth. That's what they electric shock your teeth into bits, and then they pick them out. Like, it just seems like so much less efficient. I guess, I don't know, but they did I got some teeth down my throat. I don't know.
It's like a bad dream.
Yeah.
I eat my teeth all the time in my nightmares, swallowing teeth.
Them?
Like, I swallow my teeth.
Well, at least then no, mine are they wiggle and come out, and then I have to like pose for picture day or something. It's like I can't get away with not showing off what I've done by forgetting to floss, for
what
better part of a year.
I want to end this on a joke because
I don't know.
One of the things I
can't manufacture that.
I probe a lot of people these days because I fear that jokes are just they like going extinct, because I ask a lot, and they don't even know, because let's be real, how many jokes that are good are not
you mean like
offensive?
A written joke?
No, like a joke. Like you said, there's a joke about an orthodontist. Give it to me.
No, I don't have it.
What is the joke? He drops things inside of people?
I think I thought I was allowed to be a little more loose with my words with you. Now I have to find the right word.
Does he drop things inside of people? That's the joke?
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Is that what you wanted to end on?
No.
My orthodontist hands are so slippery.
Uh-huh.
They're so covered in that orthodontic gel. No, please. I don't want people to remember me for this. For my orthodontic, for roasting an orthodontist.
What's the best? It could also be the worst reaction to your work you've had.
Worst reaction.
Anything stand out?
Yeah, you know what? This kind of hurt me. It was like one of the first times I was showing these sculptures. It's so minor. I like feel embarrassed that I even thought it's like not worth.
Go ahead.
So I was on the show, and then I was teaching at the time. A bunch of my students came, and they were really sweet. And then this person who was not my student, but was a student, so they were very young. I just remember them going up to one of the pieces, and I was like standing right there, but they didn't know me. And they were talking to their friend. They were like, yeah, but what does it mean? Like, I don't get why they use these materials. And then they left, and I just felt like, at the time, I just felt like I failed, because I thought those questions still mattered. I mean, I told you the story wouldn't be worth it, but this is what I can think of. Like,
no.
That I didn't pass the litmus test that I don't agree with. Like, I don't agree that should be a question that should have the power to destroy, the experience of viewing the work. But just to see someone put it through the undergrad test and it didn't pass for them, that was like, oh man.
Yeah, what is this objective to rationalize every single step of the process?
I mean, to be fair, the piece that they were responding to, I had definitely not figured that out myself. I was just like playing around with, how can I combine, I like doing both of these things. Can they go together? Let's see. And, now I think that it actually is a sort of, I can speak about it in that way. I think it is, I do have, I think my reasons for using these materials make a little more sense to me. Like what the figures are doing, and if they're broken, then it makes sense, to kind of wrap them to keep them together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's this sort of like mutual system of support at the material level, like the clay is held together by the string, and it's sort of like, if the people or the figures, the characters that I'm representing are people who are like, in wheelchairs, or they're crawling, or they're attached to someone else, or they're like melting into their beds, then it makes sense that I would reference like textiles or histories of like, I don't know, people binding bones back together or mummifying people. I don't know, it makes more...
I think it makes... I don't know if I want to say it makes sense, but it has a logic.
Yeah, there's a logic that I'm aware of now. And I think I wasn't aware of that myself making the early versions of these. So that sort of like... that like
right.
did pretty hard,
because the work can be ahead of you.
Yeah, and I think that's a good scenario, and I think that was something that one of our professors at UArts said to me that I felt like was a big roast. She said your hand is way ahead of your head, and I think at the time, because I was so like trying to define myself by like everything that I knew, I felt like that kind of popped my ego down. But I think it was true, and I think it's still true, but I'm glad of that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to bring this back to orthodontists, but
it's okay.
We hid that thread.
I shouldn't have put that pressure on.
Yeah, you put a lot of, Do you have
Okay. More? No. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I've been collecting them kind of. They're all just, brutally offensive because that's what's actually a good joke. But
your teeth? Collecting orthodontist opinions? Or just jokes?
Jokes.
No, I see.
I'm trying to think if you could have me interview any artist for a podcast.
Oh, now you're trying to get me to do your job?
Yeah.
Recruiting.
Give me one I wouldn't think of.
Oh, I gotta I don't have...
You can text it to me.
Okay, yeah. Pretend I text
Have you been
right
on a podcast before?
Me? No. Is it obvious?
No.
I mean, that's how I started. I haven't been on the phone in general for a while.
That's true.
So, yeah. I think, and then I was just like nervous. Yeah. I hope my anxiety didn't come through my voice.
No.
I was like
cloaked
pacing.
it, deeply cloaked.
I got it swaddled in the base of my throat. No, what a great experience.
Life affirming. Life affirming
and changing.
Your life has been changed. You just don't know how yet.
I mean, now I think I'm not going to be able to stop doing podcasts. They don't even have to invite me on. I'm going to find the code. Yeah, can I be your returning guest just for how many are you trying to do? 3 more.
How many am I trying to do?
Yeah.
I mean, probably like 50 a year,
Wait, so is this your new, this has been written into your 5-year plan schedule to the podcast?
I suspect I will do 1 a week for a very long time.
Damn. Yeah. So do you write out questions or you just flow? Yeah.
No, I just get horizontal spine at like a 30-degree angle. And then it's dark in the room. The cat is fed. And
is that Ego?
Ego's fed. Yeah. And we're winding down. It's almost bedtime.
Yeah, we talked you right to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would like I said, I want to get 10, then start putting them out there. And I think people will care. I think people will listen. I think, we know a lot of people that listeners would like to know more about.
Yeah, those listeners. Call in.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, they got ears in the trees. I'm trying to think of that. Bosch, Bruegel drawing or something. Bosch. Shoot.
On that note.
Right, yeah. That's how I wanted to go out.
It's probably
flexing.
It's probably bedtime for both of us. It's like 6:30 over there, 9:30 here.
I've been up for hours.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Well, thank you for honoring me with even a phone call. Would have been an honor. No, but this is a recorded phone call.
Well, I feel like I have to call you now off of this so I can ask you questions because this is very one-sided. I guess
you can do that, but I am actually going to bed now.
All right. I'll just let it ring.
You can write me an email.
Okay. That's what I prefer.
Okay.
All right, Michael. So nice to hear your voice. Yeah.
Same. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. Music by Dory Bavarsky and Mingja Chen. Next week we have Emily's father, David Kettner.